Hey everyone, I'm James, aka JellyKnees, and today is August 13th, 2026. It's time for a July developer update where I'll walk you through what changed over the last month, what we're focused on, and what we're working on in August as we get closer to our next open test weekend. Speaking of which, we'll have more details about that at the end of the video. First, our monthly stats. 37 additions to the project, 1 new Steam testing build published, 1 new UI screen designed, 3 new bots added to our player versus AI mode being Ethereal, Leah, and Malware, 1 new team member onboarded to help with overall game design and blueprinting, and 22 new newsletter subscribers. July was a slower month for the project, but still quite a few meaningful changes happened. We've really begun focusing on exactly what's needed for our next open test weekend, and all hands are on deck getting as much done as possible. One of the biggest places we've applied that focus is on the items in the game. In testing the new item system with the gems, we received feedback that the gaining of the initial passive on the item purchase, then a completed different passive when you fill the item gem slots was needlessly complicated, and internally we noted that it created a balancing headache. As such, we've adjusted the items to only gain a passive upon purchase, with it upgrading as you fill all 4 gem slots. In addition, we normalized the item costs and the stats of the gems across the board. Now when you purchase a physical power gem, you will always receive the same amount. Prior to this change, that would fluctuate item to item, leading to some confusion among testers. In July, we were able to update more than 80 of our items, with the rest being completed at the beginning of August. Now let's go through 3 of the item changes as an example, starting with Obsidian Bow. Obsidian Bow gained 5% additional critical strike chance, 2 more physical power, and had its initial passive removed. Then we actually changed its completed passive to be an active that guarantees your next basic attack is a critical strike that heals you for a percentage of its damage dealt. Another item I wanted to share today is Ripple Spell Rifle. Our guns have always been intended to be a source of hybrid power for myths, and so we adjusted the stats to include physical power, while lowering the ability haste received slightly. The completed passive, Weaver's Will, is slightly changed to be a scaling refund of cooldowns instead of a flat amount like it was previously. Finally, let's talk about Amulet of the Ancients, which is another active item. First, it gained an additional 70 HP as part of the base item, then it has the active effect that when cast, enemies within range are slowed, healing you for a percentage for each enemy affected by it. That's just a few of the changes to the items we've made, and shortly after this video goes live, you'll be able to see all the new items listed on the items page of our website. This will be complete with the new actives, passives, and stats, and if you have any questions on the items, leave a comment on this video or consider joining our Discord and chat with the development team there. Now, let's move on to the new familiars added to the game. This month, we added 2 more familiars to the list of playable options, Ghost Armor and Jellyfish. As a reminder, this is a new system where players will be able to pick a familiar to go along with their myth, and that familiar will upgrade itself over the course of the game with new passive effects. Ghost Armor is a more defensive style familiar that will allow players to lower overall damage, block attacks, reduce critical strike damage, or even double their protections while under certain health thresholds. While Jellyfish is a more regen focused familiar, allowing you to increase your base healing or gain some healing or shielding benefits later in the game. Our goal is to eventually have at least 8 familiars playable in the next upcoming test. Next up, we've got 3 myth changes being announced. These are some mid-sized to full reworks for Malaya, Leah, and Ethereal. For now, I'll go through Ethereal's changes, and alongside this video there will be a blog post live on the website that will share details of each myth and all the announced changes so far. Ethereal had some parts that were liked in his kit, and some that were not so much. So we've changed the not so much ones, and we've involved his brother Shade to be more interactive with his gameplay. So first, his passive. We've reduced the number of hits required for activation to better synergize with his combos and change the damage to a max health damage. His first ability, we had no changes there, so moving on to his second ability, Shade's Mark was not super clear and satisfying to be able to use, so it's been fully replaced with a new movement damage ability that will open up some more fun interactions. For ability 3, he gains a new passive that will work well with how he wants to combo Shade. Additionally, it will change how his dash works from instead of always being forward to be a movement direction dash, so he can go side to side or even backwards. Then finally, his ultimate has been kind of part of the core loop, so the executing and resetting is staying, but the way it happens has been changed for a little bit better counterplay and more satisfying movement. Shade also plays a more pivotal moment in the ability, as while he is performing his attack, Ethereal can still perform other actions. Again, for more details on all the myth changes, check out the blog post linked in the description, or I'll also include it in the first pinned comment. Now I want to show off some of the map changes that we've spoken about previously and have since been completed by Nakosa on the level design team. The Wyverns and the Guardians are switching sides of the map. This is mainly due to the importance of the Wyverns as an objective, while it was too easy to take or watch your opponents take it without much commitment. Now with the wyverns on the outsides of the lane, a window is opening for the opposing team to punish and take a tower or move to a different objective. The guardians have also been moved to the inside of the lane, which means it's still a faster way back from the base if you've taken the guardian, but it's not as powerful for ganking since it's much more easily spotted by opponents. If this is too large of a nerf to the guardians, we've got some ideas internally to bring back their strength when it comes to the rotations and their gankability factors. One of the last big things I want to talk about this month is the beginning of our content creator program. As of today, any existing content creators are able to submit their information to us and take part in an early content creator recording and streaming session prior to our next open test. Right now, there are no restrictions on who can apply, but I can say that we most likely won't be able to fit everyone either. That being said, if you yourself are a creator or you know of a creator who may be interested, submit the contact info on the website and we'll reach out with next steps as soon as we begin letting creators in early. Finally, let's touch on our plans for August, the percent towards the next test, and our early access release. In August, the team's goal is simple. Finish the map changes, finish as many myth ability changes as possible, finalize the new class abilities, begin ramping up internal testing. Firstly, I think we're about 50% of the way to our early access release. Now that we've got a lot of the quality of life features out of the way, we can focus on the larger fixes and changes and start seeing much more meaningful progress toward early access. Now for our next test. This is the news that I know everyone keeps asking me. Even somebody in public came up to me the other day, recognized me for Ethereal, and asked me when the next test was. So this is something that with the August and September changes planned and the opening of our content creator program, we're doing that because we believe we're around 90% of the way to our next open test. And while I can't announce a hard date yet, I'm happy to announce that we're planning to have this open test in October of 2026. This is currently planned to be a 3-day test with access to the bots, the matchmaking of the updated 6v6 map, and we're also shooting to have all myth ability changes and class ability changes updated in this test, so there will be plenty of new and exciting things to try out. That being said, if a myth or class doesn't feel ready, we'll test the existing version this time around. More details about what all will be in the test to come in September. Thanks so much for being patient about this July video update. I apologize that it took so long to come out, but I hope you are all just as excited as I am to get your hands back on Ethereal in just a few months. I appreciate you all, and I'll see you next time.